The hidden Euphrates River, continuing my series on the possibility that much of biblical history happened in the Americas. If you haven't seen part 1, 2, or 3 of this series, definitely go check those out. In part 1, I talked about the land of milk and honey possibly being in California. In part 2 and 3, I talked about the biblical Egypt possibly being in the Americas. So if the land of milk and honey was in the Americas, and biblical Egypt was also in the Americas, then that would have to mean that other biblical locations would have to be somewhere nearby. And today we're going to talk about the true Euphrates River. And I believe the possible true location of the real Euphrates River is the Hoover Dam. So many people have been sending me articles and videos on the modern Euphrates River drying up, but for some reason that never really fazed me and didn't sit right with my spirit. But today we're going to look at the Euphrates River being in the Hoover Dam. So of course the world tells us that the Euphrates River is in Western Asia. Originating in Turkey, the Euphrates River flows through Syria and Iraq to join the Tigris River, which empties into the Persian Gulf. In the book of Revelation, the Bible speaks of the Euphrates River and says that there are 4 angels bound in the great river Euphrates. So let's take a look at the Hoover Dam. The Hoover Dam is a hydroelectric dam in the Black Canyon of the Colorado River on the border between the U.S. states of Nevada and Arizona. It was constructed between 1931 and 1936 during the Great Depression. Its construction was the result of a massive effort involving thousands of workers and cost over 100 lives. Now, what makes the Hoover Dam so incredibly interesting, besides the massive effort that it took to construct it, is the statues and monuments surrounding the dam. Surrounding the base at the Hoover Dam is a terrazzo floor that has a star chart or a celestial map. The chart preserves for future generations the date on which President Franklin D. Roosevelt dedicated Hoover Dam, September 30th, 1935. So kind of at the base of this monument you see some interesting symbols. The first one I noticed is this eagle. And when you look at it from a certain angle, it kind of reminds me of the Masonic compass and square symbol. A very interesting thing to mention about the Hoover Dam is over 100 people died building it. And even for a big project like the Hoover Dam, the death tolls are very high. And another interesting monument I wanted to point out is this inscription that's apparently dedicated to over 100 men that lost their lives building the dam. And on this monument you see what looks to be some kind of being coming out of the waters, with lightning coming down almost as if it's resembling some kind of god or deity. And on the sides of this monument is a plaque, and the inscription on these plaques read, "The United States of America will continue to remember that many who toiled here found their final rest while engaged in the building of this dam." And then the main monument in the middle, it says, "They died to make the desert bloom." Kind of a strange inscription. So what, the desert wouldn't bloom without their deaths? It almost sounds like it's a sacrifice. And if that wasn't strange enough, there are strange looking guardian angel sculptures at the entrance to the Hoover Dam. Very strange, ominous looking, angelic like beings. The figures are sentries at the entrance to the Hoover Dam, part angel, part symbol of the strength of men. They are the work of a sculptor named Oscar J.W. Hansen, a Norwegian immigrant who came to the United States after some time in the Merchant Marines. And what makes these angelic statues very strange, besides them looking very creepy and ominous, is both statues appear to be sitting on black cubes. And for those of you who are familiar with the black cube in the occult, it represents Saturn worship. For centuries, Saturn has been associated with Satan, and this for numerous reasons. First, many authors argue that the word Satan is derived from the word Saturn. For example, there's a black cube in the United Nations headquarters meditation/prayer room. The D-Wave quantum computer is a black cube. Saturn is known as the secret god of the occult. Saturn worship is everywhere, from logos to secret societies. So it's interesting that these ominous looking angelic statues are sitting on black cubes, with bizarre symbols all across this monument, including the one with the strange inscription that I just read to you, which says, "They died to make the desert bloom." After the construction of the Hoover Dam was finished, over 112 workers have died, or should I say possibly sacrificed. In the occult, the number 112, an experience leading to a higher level of consciousness. All these occult-like symbols seem very strange for a dam, as if it's venerating some kind of deity or deities, possibly angelic-like beings. Another interesting thing to mention about the Hoover Dam is there's a security checkpoint. A couple days ago I found a screenshot of a page in a book called Singularity written by Nick Hinton. And in this book it talks about just how strange the Hoover Dam really is, and that there's possibly something more going on down there that we're not told about. And in this book it says there's a map of the star system there, as well as many other occult symbols, including the black cube, which I just talked about. But even more odd, in 1988 a type of particle detector called a time projection chamber was placed inside the dam as part of an experiment. The dam is considered the eighth wonder of the world. Remember how 8 is the number of time. In a sense, the Hoover Dam literally splits time zones because it sits in between two time zones. Not only that, but the first time the dam produced electricity was on September 11th, 1935. Exactly 66 years before 9/11, which you will see later in the book may have been a massive ritual meant to manipulate our timeline. In Transformers, the Hoover Dam is used to store alien technology, and in The Edge of Tomorrow, a dam is the hiding place of Omega, an alien that traps humanity in a time loop. So as the Bible states, Satan is the prince of this world, and he has a lot of influence in the school systems, in the media, and the entertainment industry, and Satan is a powerful spirit that loves to mock and humiliate humanity. And some of the ways he does this is he puts the truth in front of people's faces in the form of entertainment. For example, in the first Transformer movie, Sector 7 is a secret United States government organization that discovers the Allspark in the Colorado River and builds the Hoover Dam around it to mask its energy emission. The still frozen Megatron is moved into this facility and is reverse engineered to advance human technology. Maybe there's some hidden truth to this. And maybe our own advancement in technology comes from having communication with deities in another dimension that we gain access to through possible stargates. So it's possible that the Hoover Dam is the true Euphrates River, and as Revelation states, under the river is where the 4 angels are bound. And maybe the reason the Hoover Dam was built a hydroelectric dam was because they needed a whole lot of power to communicate to these fallen angelic beings. And if this is true, the giant ominous angelic statues on top of the Hoover Dam would make a lot of sense, along with the other occult symbols surrounding the dam. You know that old saying that the best place to hide something is in plain sight? Another very interesting event that happened at the Hoover Dam is there was a light show on the dam itself featuring a German soccer team, and their logo was that of a goat with 2 twin towers. So is it possible the dam holds more secrets than people assume? And does Satan love mocking people by putting the truth in front of people's faces in the form of entertainment? So is the Hoover Dam the real Euphrates River, where angelic-like beings are bound?